What's up? Hello, citizens of Gotham. Sorry, I was having a crazy tech issue. One of those like reboot my whole computer robot bag of dicks. We're going to bring Whitney Webb on the show in just a second. Thank you so much for being patient. Hello, everybody. Dimitri, D. Smith, Starbuck Bleached. Dimitri, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. You are great. A wonderful way to support the shows. Do what Dimitri did and hit the super chat button and support the show. Spread the word on this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to also hopefully simulcasting. That was the goal today. I think I figured out how to simulcast on Rockfin and YouTube at the same time. So do me a favor and share this on your social media. It is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. Hold on a quick sec. I got to write this thing. Yeah, 77 people watching. Victory Gin is here. What is up? Voltaire, Progressive News Daily.net, Ellie Bean, Cardi B versus Candace Owens, right? Brittany Abbey. You support me on Rockfin. Thank you so much, Brittany. Truth to Tweet, what's up? Tech issues. Robot bag of dicks. Boy, the robot, a really serious robot bag of dicks came and attacked me today. God, look at my hair. It's just all over the place. You were having hair problems. We're just having a lot of issues today. Got to keep the Superman down there. That's my Superman. Seems a little pronounced today. I don't know. Maybe just spruce it up. I'm just gonna get a big toupee. Old school. Old school. All right, let's hey, we are on Rockfin. We're simulcasting. We did it. All right. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let me open up all of the other pages, and then I will bring Whitney on. First, let me actually, you know what? I'll invite Whitney, get her here. Boo, 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 boo. Oh, just one of those crazy days. Everything got a little Mickey Moused. Everything got a little Mickey Moused. All right, so Whitney's got that. Everything got Mickey Moused. I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, everything got Mickey Moused. It's one of those things you say it with confidence and it sounds like, oh, it's a term everybody knows and it makes sense. It doesn't. You just say it confidently. Oh, we all got cement trucked, huh? What does that mean? Well, I'm here, Charmaine. Shave your head for justice. That might have to happen. Maggie Craggy, Julie Higgins, watching from Nova Scotia, Canada. What's up? Check me. I am now on live on Rockfin. Check me on Rockfin. My friend plays in the LA Galaxy. His name is Kai Kornick. Oh, sweet. I love the MLS. I've been watching the Galaxy for a good 10 years or so. And then I actually really liked it when the LAFC joined the MLS. It was really cool. It's a cool stadium. And I watched part of the, their bubble tournament, so that was cool. All right, let me make sure. Let me go. Let me go into here. Let me go. Watching. 50 some likes, 55 likes. That's not the one we wanted. I did it here. Oh. Bo. I keep forgetting how I find this. I just jumped again. Yeah. Ooh. Hold on. Barrel. What's up, Matt S? What's up, Backyard Politics? What's up, Wesley? Oh, I'm glad you liked me on the People's Party convention. It was very cool. We're going to bring Whitney on the show here in a second, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right. Shimshay. Okay, let me just... Yeah, everything got really... Oh, boy. Today's just one of those, you got a schedule, we're going to do this, and then it doesn't happen, and the technical things, and then I'm like funcing around, I have to reboot my whole computer. Like, when in doubt, just reboot it. Like with everything, just stop, turn it off, turn it back on. Like everything. Like you're cooking, just stop. Just stop it. And then put the food away and just microwave something or order out. Like just reboot. Just when in doubt, reboot. All right. Whitney is... Okay. All right, let's bring Whitney on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like button, share this out on your social media. Reboot your life. Let's hold on a second. All right. Don't forget, great way to support the show is the super chat icon, what Dimitri just did. Any dollar amount, I will answer your question. So any of the super chats that come on during when Whitney and I are talking, I'll answer all of those when after her and I talk. All right.
Hi.
Hey, Whitney, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh my goodness, what a crazy day it was.
Yeah, I've had a crazy day too. So maybe nice to know it's not just me, I guess.
No, definitely not you. Yeah. It just, and I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's ready to go. And then StreamYard wouldn't recognize my camera. And then I just had to unplug and reboot everything. And I was just like, all right, dude, whatever. Like, it's super hot here. Like so hot, and not as hot as it was, but it's still very hot.
Right. Well, I mean, here it's, I'm in the opposite hemisphere, I guess. So it's cold and rainy today. So I can't really sympathize much with the heat. I kind of am jealous, but
yeah, cold and rainy actually sounds nice, but grass is always greener, I guess. So, all right, everybody, please hit the like button and share this out on your social media. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. I'm here with returning guest, friend of the show, Whitney Webb. Whitney, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Well, first, I just want to say welcome to Rockfin. We're also streaming on.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think you're going to love it because all the censorship that we get on is nuts, which you're experiencing right now. Like, yeah,
my website was taken down last night. I made the mistake, I guess, of teasing what my new article was going to be about, right? And so I kind of, I guess, informed them in advance. And so there's been like a denial of service attack for like 24 hours on my site. And also the article that I put up on my site was scrubbed from the WordPress database. So on my website, you can't even access it anymore. Yeah, they really didn't like it, I guess. I don't know. So you can still access it through a couple different ways. But Rockfin actually saved me today because I could put the article up there for free, right? So people can go read it their way. But we're going to figure out the deal with the site. I mean, we changed hosting like a week ago because we were having some problems with my article last week about all the election stuff, right? So yeah, I guess I've hit some nerves. That's all right though. I mean, we'll make it work. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to be on Rockfin because it's been a really great backup in that sense, and I like it so far. So far, so good.
I think just about all of us on Rockfin, we all came over there and really started leaning into it because we all got screwed over somehow. Like it was about 3 or 4 months ago, YouTube just shut my live stream down in the middle of it.
Yeah, they do that.
Like all these things that get demonetized and everything, and so, and just a piece of advice, maybe you shouldn't have used deepstatewebserver.gov. I don't know if that was
No, but I never hosted my website in the US to avoid this. I had it in Iceland and now it's in the Netherlands, right? But they still have they made it not accessible from within the US apparently for whatever reason, because there were some people that were using VPNs and they made their location look like it was Iceland, and then they could join or they could get to the article. Weird.
So let's get into this article. Why don't you tell us about what this article was, and now people can obviously get it on Rockfin, but tell us what the article is. You've done a couple articles recently. That's why I wanted to have you on to talk about. So tell us what this article is.
Okay, so the most recent article is about an NGO called Thorn that you might have heard of because of its celebrity founder, Ashton Kutcher. And basically what they say they do is, they're all about helping police stop child trafficking. But really so Thorn is partnered with all these Silicon Valley companies, right, including Amazon. And so Amazon came out a few months ago in June and said they're not going to sell facial recognition software to police anymore, but they're still supplying that software to police through Thorn, right? Which is, they're partnered with them. They built Thorn's Spotlight software, which uses recognition, and a company backed by the CIA's In-Q-Tel, that's who made Thorn's Stop Child Trafficking program that they're giving to police for free, right? So police everywhere are using this stuff, but there's no oversight over whether police use it just to save kids or if they use it for anything else they're doing, right? So Amazon Recognition has gotten in a lot of trouble in past years, for example, because they, that software falsely identified 28 members of Congress with mugshots of criminals, mainly politicians that were, of color, right?
I remember
that. Surprise there, right? So, this is the same software that's being used allegedly to help law enforcement track down and save kids, they say. But there's a lot of really creepy ties. If you look at the board of Thorn, you have people from Covington and Burling law firm. Their main Silicon Valley lawyer is on there. Covington and Burling is a DC law firm that was involved in the overthrow of Honduras's government when Hillary Clinton was head of the State Department in 2009. It's also where Eric Holder works, and John Bolton used to be a lawyer there. So that's the type of law firm that's so, wants to save kids in the US, right? But that's just one person. You also have a guy that's part of the World Health Organization now, co-founded a charity with Colin Powell, which I'm sure is great. It's just a bunch of people that you wouldn't expect there, right? And of course, they're partnered with Google, Amazon, all these big tech companies, and several In-Q-Tel funded companies. One of the people on their board is a guy named Joe Lonsdale, who's one of the co-founders alongside Peter Thiel of Palantir, which is a CIA funded company. The CIA was its only client from 2005 to 2008. And it's used by all 17 US intelligence agencies. Lonsdale was also recently accused of his ex-girlfriend of depriving her of food and raping her repeatedly. So he's, on the board of this feel-good NGO. If you go to Thorne's website, it's full of all these like nice pictures of kids playing and happy, and talks about how they save all these kids. But basically, I would say it's sort of like a front, a way for Silicon Valley companies to give these experimental softwares that they can't legally like sell or publicly sell to police departments under the guise of, they're gonna save kids, but no one knows how they're really using this stuff. And it's very likely that Amazon and a lot of these other companies that are making this, because they give it away for free, have some sort of backdoor into the data, right? That or the way law enforcement is using it, because that's the trade-off for them, is that they can take data out of this program and use it to train their AI algorithms, right? Because facial recognition is one of those like AI-based technologies, right? It uses artificial intelligence, and the way to have a better facial recognition technology is to have a better AI algorithm. And in order to have a better AI algorithm, you have to have masses and masses and masses of data to train that algorithm on, right? So there's definitely something up here. That's just an overview of some of the connections, but there's a lot more to dig into there. I wrote it all in one day, so my brain is just kind of like mush today. But that's like an overview, I guess you could say. But there's a lot of Clinton tie-ins that we can get into here in a little bit.
There we go. Like, I'm telling you, I mean, obviously you figured this out on all your research with the Epstein stuff, and so have I.
Yeah.
Boy, any of these NGOs are very suspect. I mean, is every charitable organization nefarious? No, but these ones, and then when you start seeing these same names pop up, and if the Clintons are anywhere near it, boy, I do not trust it at all. I just don't. And they've done this repeatedly, and they've used the Clinton Foundation, I mean, in Haiti and all these other places.
Right.
And it's like, Ghislaine Maxwell's whatever Save the Ocean Foundation had we're going to teach 13 to 14-year-olds how to do that. It's always some little thing in there that's very creepy and very suspect. So which it obviously, and then the fact that they just pull your website down, that's the other thing. If these NGOs had nothing to hide,
right,
it would be like, well, no, what, like if you thought you had some info on some organization and you were wrong, why would they pull it down?
Right. Well, like if you're actually like a celebrity like Ashton Kutcher, okay, and you want to create an organization to like save kids, why are you going to team up with two companies to create your tool to save kids that are major CIA contractors or funded by the CIA, when the CIA has a documented history of involvement in sex trafficking for blackmail, among other things, right? And also the Finders cult, for example, which has been tied to the CIA, which was like, egregious physical abuse of children, right? So the CIA has been tied to all that stuff, right? So you're going to be like, yeah, I want to protect kids, so let's the CIA can do it. It doesn't really click, Well,
it doesn't click at all. I mean, I did a video last year on the Finders cult, and it's horrific. I mean, there's evidence that they were impregnating women and selling their children, and the CIA was backing this. Like it's, and the officer that was investigating it got pulled off the case, and they smeared him in a report, all these standard things. So at the very least, Ashton Kutcher is either just a dumb, naive celebrity.
He's not, though.
Right.
He's not. So he came out with the George Floyd protests and like gave this tearful video. He's an actor, remember? This tearful video about how important Black Lives Matters is. Well, he has Thorne, right? He also is a lead investor in this company called Mark 43, which alongside Jeff Bezos and General David Petraeus, a former CIA director, which is all about giving all this high-tech equipment to law enforcement. Their records management stuff, their dispatch stuff, making it all like AI, big data driven stuff for police, right? So, I mean, I don't really see him being, we're going to reform the police, right? Especially when he's like, in that company, he co-invests with Bezos, right? He's partnered with Bezos at Thorne through their Amazon recognition thing. They co-invest in Airbnb together. I mean, if you Google like Bezos and Ashton Kutcher, you'll see like them being like the two public lead investors in several companies, right? So it's definitely not something like he's, actually cares. It's just sort of like this celebrity posturing,
Yeah, it is. It is more celebrity posturing, while behind the scenes they're just acquiring more wealth. And he wants access to people like Bezos and the CIA, because he obviously wants his whatever $50 million isn't enough. So he needs.
There's a tweet of Ashton Kutcher like posing with a CIA mug, and he's like, "I love the CIA," and then it says like hashtag gratitude or something on it. So I guess he's really not hiding it. Yeah.
Wow.
Gratitude for the CIA. I mean, you have to be either really ignorant or complicit to send them gratitude.
So, all right. So that's the one article about the NGOs and Ashton Kutcher, who's obviously pals with the CIA, so that they gave him a mug, like some sort of morning talk show or something.
Yeah. Well, really quick, before we get there, I wanted to talk about the main Clinton guy, because I didn't do that either. So just a couple things really quick. So sorry about that. So it's also Ashton Kutcher's Thorn is also partnered with the McCain Institute. Ashton Kutcher is part of the McCain Institute, right? Remember, Cindy McCain is on that video saying we all knew what Epstein was doing. Well, they have a combating human trafficking program, and the head of that is a guy named Ernie Allen, who was also this Thorn NGO's child protection advisor. This guy, in my opinion, is super shady and someone, with the time and maybe in the US or whatever, needs to dig into this guy. Basically, he runs or ran for a long time the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children, a bunch of ties to the Clintons with that organization. The guy that worked immediately under him was the guy that co-founded Hillary for America, and like all this stuff, super involved in Hillary's campaign. The Center for National Center for Exploited and Missing Children partnered with the Clintons. This should be concerning, right? But what's really creepy is that for anyone that's ever heard of the serial killer and rapist in Belgium, Marc Dutroux, or the Dutroux affair, that was basically like Epstein before Epstein. It was in 1996. It was this discovery of this huge elite pedophile ring in Belgium that was covered up like really extensively. A lot of witnesses dropped dead. This guy had all these girls chained up in his basement. There were hundreds of hairs from different people, and the police never analyzed them. And there was a lot of cover up, like just an insane cover up going on from the highest levels of government. The prime minister of Belgium at the time, who was the architect of that cover up, calls up this Ernie Allen guy and asks him for advice about what to do, basically, officially. And then the response to that is creating the International Center for Exploited and Missing Children that's launched a few years later by none other than Hillary Clinton herself. That seems normal, that you would have...
Who was on Epstein's plane twice, and her husband 26 times, and the two of them went to his
right before then. Yeah, this is 1999, right?
Oh.
So there's definitely some creepy stuff going on there. So that's the child protection advisor for Thorn, who and they've been like they have a lot of ties into this thing. Well, what I talked about last time I was on the show, this digital identity stuff for children, iris scanning and stuff like that. They call it child recognition technologies. So it's not just facial recognition technologies that we're seeing rolled out on this huge scale. There's a particular interest among people for child recognition technologies. Now, I'm not going to say that the technology in and of itself is bad, but if you're having people like this, CIA people, right, or like this Ernie Allen Clinton guy that was tied up in the cover up of the Dutroux affair and all this stuff, like definitely the wrong people to be in charge of overseeing how that technology is used, because this guy at the National Center, is responsible for determining what kids are sent out on Amber Alerts, what kids are like sent in the missing children bulletins that go to like police departments and all this stuff. If there's a kid missing that they don't want found, then it's creepy, right? So why has this guy not been scrutinized? I don't know, but he's tied up with the McCain Institute and all this stuff. And also that center was involved in something I talked about in the article that's really extensive, so I'm not going to really go to in depth here though, but they were partnering behind the scenes with a website that later was revealed to be basically like an online brothel, and that 70% of all online child sex trafficking ads were coming from that site, and they were partnered with them, helping them stop it, but they actually didn't stop it. And then the people that ran that website, Backpage, started cooperating so well with authorities that apparently it was too well, right? And they got shut down essentially, with a lot of involvement from this Ernie Allen guy who like turned on them. And I don't know, it's really nuts. I would recommend reading the article because that whole like saga is super. I don't even have words for it, really. It's nuts, though. But basically, they were involved behind the scenes fighting child trafficking with the site that was like responsible for a bunch of child trafficking ads. And then that site started cooperating with law enforcement. And then this Ernie Allen guy turns on them. Okay.
Well, what all of these specific things that you've uncovered, they answer the bigger question from all of this is, how has this been allowed to happen? How have, millions of children getting trafficked every year? I mean, it's this multi-billion-dollar global industry. How is this allowed to happen? If it's just a handful of creeps, in vans snatching kids up, and the answer is it's allowed to happen because it's the most powerful people are doing it. And every time, I mean, look, when I had a year ago, my friend Eric Oldenburg on the show, who was a former child crimes investigator, and he told me about these websites that they would be selling kids, and there'd be, the website would look like it was innocent, like, oh, it's just an auction site for whatever, I don't know, baseball cards or something, but actually it would be a kid, which is why when the stuff that happened with Wayfair a couple months ago did not shock me, because that's something that my friend told me about. And I remember talking to him when he was still on the force in 2011, when Sandusky, that got revealed. And this was like only a week old, that discovery about Sandusky. And I was like, and he goes, oh, more than likely, he goes, Graham, this is just the beginning. More than likely, they're going to find out that this guy was getting kids for alumni. And I was like, what? He goes, Graham, oh, you don't want to know. It's just awful. And because he's done online and all this awful stuff. So when I just always remember that what a guy who investigated this for a living said to me. And so all of this, actually, everything that you're saying makes sense to me, because the most powerful people, why can't we find all these kids? Why is this so hard to find? Well, you get control of the missing and exploited children, the Amber Alert thing, like you say, like, and it's a thing we've talked about on this show, like, and definitely, children and like murdered and missing Indigenous women. I've talked about that, like, these young women, and in some cases, girls go missing and nobody investigates it. But like a white girl in the suburbs goes missing and they're like, oh, that gets the Amber Alert. And there's a reason like they exploit and they snatch up the kids that they know the parents don't have the resources or the money, or nobody will listen to them. And no one cares. And that's what's so insidious about these organizations. And mainly,
well, that's what Epstein tried to do too, right? And Ghislaine, they'd go after kids with domestic situations, right?
Yeah, who are impoverished, or the parents need money. And I mean, that was one of the things Virginia Roberts said Epstein joked about, of like, oh, I got these parents to just send me their kids for some money. Everybody's got a price. Like, he just had this disdain for humanity. Yeah. And you're seeing how this is happening. That's why whenever there's some crisis in a third world country, like all these NGOs starts showing up, in the Clinton Foundation in Haiti or whatever, and then where are the kids going? No one, the poor people in those areas have no voice.
Right. And it's important to keep in mind, a lot of the NGOs that people think of that are like help kids, like Save the Children, right? One of their biggest fundraisers in the 80s was hosted by Ghislaine Maxwell herself, right? And there was a report that came out from the UK's own government, right? That Save the Children, a bunch of their workers were involved in sex for food scandals, withholding food from refugee families if they didn't pony up one of their like preteen daughters for sex, right?
Yeah.
Save the children. Save the children from the predators that are pretending to help them, basically. I mean, that's essentially where we are. I mean, all of these organizations need to be investigated and overhauled, because they're, this is where the predators really seem to hide. They just convince people, they pay some PR people, they design a nice website, and they say, oh yeah, we're all about protecting kids, which gets them access to kids. And then, there's no oversight of these people, but there's predators there.
Of course. I mean, look at Sandusky had this, at-risk kids football foundation or whatever. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
He put on kids that way. And again, going back to what my friend, the child crimes investigator said, he goes, Graham, you show me 100 kids that are abused, 95, 96 of them will come from disadvantaged homes, because the predators know this. The predators know, like, a kid that has, 2 parents and everyone's paying attention comes home and says, oh, my coach bought me a bike. The parents are going to be like, what? But the kid whose parents aren't around or not paying attention, or it's already an abusive situation or whatever, the predators know this. They know to prey on these kids that don't have parents. I mean, it's like, and that's why I remember traveling to Brazil, and I was so like naive, and there was like signs in the airport showing like kids saying, I'm not a tourist attraction, don't exploit me. And I was like, huh? And it was explained to me, rich people from the West, from the US, Western countries come, and whether there's poor kids on the street begging. And I remember there was like kids begging, and I was like, oh, I got to give these kids money. I got to, like, I can't see kids in the street. And, my friend, my fiance at the time, Brazilian, she said, don't do that. I said, why? She goes, you're an American. They see you giving these kids money, they're going to assume you're like a pedophile. And I was like, what? And I was so naive to the whole situation, but that happens all the time. So,
right. Well, sex tourism is a huge issue, right? And a lot of the child pornography that ends up on the internet comes from places like the Philippines and a lot of places in Southeast Asia where like these creepy old men travel, right? But they also, now because of the internet, they pay these impoverished families to basically abuse their own children in front of the camera and stuff like this. I mean, it's totally sick and it's insane. It's worth pointing out, Amazon's cloud is apparently, talking about Amazon and going back to Thorn, apparently full of child porn. There's a parent advocacy organization that came out just a few weeks ago. It's linked to in my article, talking about how, they're taking no action to remove it, right? And also Microsoft, another partner of Thorn, of course, right? On Bing, on their search engine, apparently you can search for the most obvious keywords ever if you wanted to find those types of images, and they will come up for you. And it's the only search engine that's still like that, right? So why aren't they taking these things down? And why aren't groups like Thorn or the National Center for Exploited and Missing Children on Amazon and Microsoft's ass about this, right? Apparently they don't care, but apparently they only cared about this Backpage site, right? Once it started to be used as a tool by law enforcement to track down predators, right? And it was too effective. And then they take it down. The government, by the way, seized all of its assets, all of the information on that site. They prosecuted as a civil forfeiture case. And by the way, the person that started this case against Backpage, once that change started happening and it became an effective tool, signed off by Kamala Harris.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not shocking, because when she was district attorney in San Francisco, she basically protected pedophile priests. She wouldn't release the names of, there was a whole pedophile priest scandal that came up in San Francisco in the mid 2000s, and around whenever she was a DA, 2008, 9, somewhere in there, she, all these priests got arrested, and she wouldn't release the names of the priests. And the survivors.
Yeah, that's why the CIA wants her in freaking office right now, and they're going to take out Biden. He's going to test positive for COVID. I don't know if you've covered this yet, but they've already set this up. What happens if Joe Biden gets coronavirus? They've already told you. If he tests positive, even if he doesn't show symptoms or whatever, it's Kamala. They're going to switch him out, right? And Kamala was chosen, remember, by the Clinton donors before at the Hamptons and all this stuff, beginning of the primary. All of this was done. The candidate they want at the beginning is the candidate they're going to have. Look at all the stuff they did, to get here, right?
Yeah, the shadow app, the Bernie having double-digit exit poll wins, and Biden mysteriously, wins
winning South Carolina or whatever. Yeah.
And these precincts that had touch screen voting that are, we've known they've been hackable.
All the Silicon Valley companies you see repeatedly here, I will point out, like Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn being one of the major financiers of that acronym, which was tied up with Shadow Inc. and all that stuff. And then you have Microsoft right now pushing for its Election Guard software to be the norm for every election after this one, among other things, right? I mean, it's just, I mean, and you see them right in this Thorn thing. I mean, almost everything I report on has some sort of nefarious Silicon Valley billionaire tie in it, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Microsoft or Bill Gates, Pierre Omidyar, or any of those guys, right? Reid Hoffman. I mean, all of these guys, and a lot of them had ties to Epstein, right? Reid Hoffman, especially.
Let me take, I have to take just give me 1 minute to take a quick break. Hold on. Sorry.
No worries. I guess it's just me on the live stream. I don't know what to say. I'm going to wait to talk about the next article until Graham's back. Thanks for the suggestion, though.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just put that up for my editing. Okay, so Whitney, all this work you've done, seeing all these connections. I mean, you've obviously been uncovering not just Epstein. I mean, going down the Epstein rabbit hole clearly reveals to anyone.
Well, yeah, the Epstein rabbit hole is huge and connects to a bazillion different things, right?
Yeah.
So it really depends on what side you want to look at it. Because remember, this wasn't just in the US, right? The whole Epstein thing was international. So, you know, you have some people, for example, that have been hammering down on his ties to people in the UK in particular, right? And things like that. You know, I haven't got into that. You know, I've been focusing on specific stuff. But, I mean, you just see the connections pop up all over the place, right? Definitely disconcerting for sure. But, you know, I think it's just a testament to why there is still no real investigation of the Epstein scandal. And there probably won't be unless there's some, you know, drastic change in the government, which I'm not counting on, at least for now.
The thing that all my investigation and then you know, having you on the show and reading your work, it sort of, as you get into the weeds, it sort of almost feels like it never ends. But when you step back,
oh yeah, it feels like that every day.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But the thing that becomes clear is the tactics are the same. Like that's when
the playbook, right?
Playbook is the same. You connect the dots pretty easily. Once you go down this road, you're like, oh, this is how they do it. They get in charge of this organization or this NGO, or they get these people in these positions of power in the justice system or politically or whatever. And that's why this is always whisked away. You and I have talked about this before. They want to always make the narrative like with the police department, like, oh, we got the bad apples, couple of bad apples. We got them done. We got Jolene, we got Jeffrey, but case closed. And
well, they said that with all the Reagan era scandals too. They were like, oh, well, you know, there's just rotten fish in the barrel. So the barrel's still fine. You just have to throw out the fish. And it's like, no, just burn it all down. That's how I feel these days. I mean, because it's nuts, really. And we can get into my other article about election stuff earlier, but they are really setting us up. And I'm talking about both establishment parties and who they really work for, right? The oligarchs, the intelligence agencies, they are setting this election up to be a complete disaster, and they are doing it on purpose, right? Yeah. They have been doing, now it's an overdrive, and they're just like, it's there constantly in your face. Trump's not going to leave office and all this stuff. I mean, they're really hammering it home, but it's not just Trump's not going to leave office. It's like there's going to be cyber attacks from foreign powers on election day and all this stuff too. So it's going to be quite an interesting day and they're telling you all in advance. They don't normally do this unless they have some plans, and it seems like they do.
Yeah, so that's first of all, everybody, welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Melwood. We're here with Whitney Webb, and I wanted to talk about this because you put this other article out there, and it's something I've been talking about on this show because it seems like they're very obviously setting us up for chaos surrounding the election. Win or lose, they want, and they really want us in a civil war. And this is just my interpretation. You can tell me.
Oh, they do. I agree.
Yeah.
Go on, though.
Especially when they saw the unity in the streets in the first 2-3 weeks of the George Floyd protest, especially that first week. There were tens of millions of people in all 50 states and 18 countries all saying no. And I think they went, this is the thing we feared. Everybody getting together and saying and storming the castle, in essence. I mean, they were burning trees around the White House. People were not having it. And they were doing it in every city. So it really, I'm hearing some kind of an echo. Let me make sure I got.
Could also be my toddler.
Okay, all right.
Making noise outside my door. Wants to come in, I guess.
I do sound like a toddler sometimes. So it makes and I think they realized, because I saw the narrative change from the George Floyd, and then they quickly make it there's a race war in this country. And I was like, wait a minute. I was at a bunch of protests in LA. It was all people from all walks of life. And in cities, even like Portland, that are primarily white cities, it was all these white people on the streets for Black Lives Matter. And yet they keep pushing this civil war, this race war, and they're really ramping us into that. And then Trump was just flat out saying, it's rigged if I lose. So he's teeing up his base, and they want a conflict. And I have no doubt that there's private.
Yeah, it's both sides. It's 100% both sides. Because they're just playing into this, and people really need to, I don't know. I mean, at this point, if you're buying into the two-party illusion at this point, I don't know. You're not going to be able to see the big picture really of what's going on and why they want this chaos, and how they're going to do it and all this stuff. Like, the RNC and the DNC have a lot of overlap when it comes to policies, like endless wars. They both end up expanding government. I mean, some of the biggest expansions in government, in police state government, I'd argue, right, happened during the George W. Bush administration, like DHS, things like that. That was supposed to be conservative, right? I mean, so, regardless of which party's in office, it's the same policies, and it's been like that for decades and decades and decades. Okay, so we know that both parties have been also blackmailed by intelligence agencies, right? So that's like Epstein shows us that, among other, historical points, right? So they're not exactly, the narrative they're selling you is very unlikely to be what's actually going on, right? And so the narrative that we've seen pumped out the most, at least recently, is that Trump's not going to leave office. And a lot of that is coming from this group that I wrote about last week called the Transition Integrity Project, is what they call themselves, right? But basically what they also show is that if there's an election scenario where Trump ends up having a clear winning, they are going to do some wild shit, basically. They are going to convince 3 states to send different electors to the Electoral College, even if Trump won, basically undermining any sort of Electoral College win, even if he has it, which is obviously going to make huge protests on the right. And then they say that they're going to convince California, Oregon, and Washington to secede from the Union unless 4 demands are met. And among those demands are making Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. New states, and dividing California into 5 new states to basically, rig, I guess you could say, the sit for the Democrats or whatever, among other things. So that's just how they start up, right? And then in January, they convinced the House of Representatives, which is Democrat, controlled, to award the presidency to Biden anyway, even if Trump wins, right? So, yeah, okay, so Joe Biden has a clear win. Trump will leave office. He'll say it was fraud and he won't concede. But then if Trump wins, you have Joe Biden doing the same stuff. And in this simulation, the guy playing Joe Biden was John Podesta, who was Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager for 2016. And he's gaming all of this out. And not that long after, you have Hillary Clinton come on. She went on Showtime and gave an interview and said, I'm confident that if we drag this out, Joe Biden will eventually win, right? If we're as relentless as the other side or something like that, right? So
where, give us specific, where is this is a leaked document, or this is a video? Where did you
the Transition Integrity Project did simulations of what would happen in all these different scenarios. And this is important because this group is what I refer to as the uniparty, the DNC and the RNC establishment coming together. You have people like neocons like Bill Kristol, Michael Chertoff, David Frum, all of the Max Boot. Okay. And then you have former RNC chair, Michael Steele. You have a bunch of people from the 2012 Romney campaign. Okay. And then you have people like Donna Brazile, John Podesta, people that used to be in the Obama administration, former Secretary of Defense, a bunch of big establishment guys are all getting together and gaming this out to save democracy. None of these people give a fuck about democracy. Okay, these are the people that like set up the Iraq war, right? Like Bill Kristol and all of those guys, right? I mean, they don't care at all about democracy. They used to be part of Project for a New American Century, right? Which a year before 9/11 said we need a new Pearl Harbor for all these policies we want to implement that there will be resistance to unless there's some big event, right? That unifies the country, and they called it the new Pearl Harbor. And then all the PNAC neocons are in the Bush administration and 9/11 happens, right? And so now you have those same guys, right, saying that this is going to happen if Trump wins or if Trump loses, right? There's going to be chaos either way. So they're essentially just, showing it's rigged for chaos, really, either way, regardless of what the outcome of the election is.
And the end game, what I feel like, and maybe this initiative thing that you uncovered goes in, then maybe they just spell it out. To me, it seems like they want chaos in a civil war to distract us from the fact that the ruling class is screwing all of us. Like if these like Second Amendment working class rights, white people realized they were actually in a class war, like if they were going to go hold the Michigan Capitol hostage, not because they couldn't get haircuts and have to wear a mask, but because they're like $4.25 trillion was given to Wall Street in the CARES Act. If the minute that those like Black Lives Matter and those groups get together and realize, oh, we're on the same team, that they obviously, then it's over for the ruling class. So they got to keep us distracted like that.
Well, at the same time you have these election plans, you also have the same forces, I would argue, in power trying to manipulate and infiltrate both sides of these separate movements. So like the protest movement on the right now, or the protest movement on the left, especially around police reform. The lady that co-founded this Transition Integrity Project is a lady named Rosa Brooks. She used to work for this foundation that had a leaked memo come out that was published that talked about capitalizing off of Black Lives Matters and manipulating it to push people for the federalization of police in the United States. Period. So
that's the end game.
That's bad. Okay. And her research, she publicly writes articles in Foreign Policy and all these other places talking about how there's a need to demilitarize police and all this stuff. But she, a few years ago, talked about removing Trump via a military coup, that would be a good idea. I wrote that in Foreign Policy magazine. Right. And her research is about the blurring line between military and police. Of course, if you federalize all police, it's all DHS goons, right? That's what that means. It's not good. But basically, it talks about capitalizing off of the desire for reforms and the need for reform, right? But sort of sheep herding that into pushing for the federalization of police or stricter, stepping stones towards that, with that being the ultimate goal. And that's all outlined in there, right? So that's the lady that created this Transition Integrity Project thing. That's her other thing as head of Georgetown's program of innovative policing, they call it. So there's definitely efforts to sort of, manipulate these movements when they pop up, right? So, I think that's part of, how this whole engineered situation they're trying to set up with election chaos. The race war, too, that they're trying to start, right, also involves manipulations of both sides, because they're trying to aggravate existing divides, specifically left and right divides and racial divides, right, to try and create as much chaos as possible, because the more chaos they create, the more they can justify imposing order, right? Look at all this chaos. We have to come in and impose order really hard. That's what I would argue this is all about, right?
That's
this
what
is about clamping down.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. It's all ramping up into like a get everybody scared, and then martial law, like the test run back in late May, early June, like where I live, Santa Monica, there was military on the streets for a week after there was looting and riots, and it was just like a test run, like, oh, okay, let's see how this works, how people are going to respond to this.
Well,
and there weren't mass protests to having military on the streets, which is unconstitutional. People just took it. And I think they just keep going, well, we can just keep pushing Americans, we'll just keep pushing them and pushing them. And when they all get together, we're very good at dividing them. Like, I'm amazed America hasn't had a full-blown revolution already. I just am amazed at it. And if it gets close, this is what this all clampdown is. I mean, that's why, and you look at the fear mongering that comes out of the right, like the Fox media, the fear, and they're okay with unmarked vans and federal troops.
Well, they're getting the right to support the policies they'd normally be against, not realizing that if the right ever goes out and protests for legitimate reasons, that same power of the state will be sicked on them. You know, this is all about manufacturing consent for those types of tactics becoming the norm. This is something that, the uniparty, the DC establishment has been trying to ever to do for decades and decades, ever since there was this pivot towards Homeland Security, away from foreign policy, this focus on Homeland Security that was planned out in 1997 by Richard Armitage, who later was in the George W. Bush administration, right? And Dick Cheney and all these guys coming up for how to create the Department of Homeland Security, which of course didn't get passed into law until after 9/11, which of course gave them their wish list of things to pass. But what's interesting too regarding this whole martial law setup, the Transition Integrity Project, several of their scenarios hint that the military will have to step in to restore order, number one. Number two, there's another company really, that I wrote about in January, called Cybereason, ties to US and Israeli intelligence, also doing these very creepy simulations about the US 2020 election for free, which is very odd because they couldn't, use the results of the simulation to sell any product, and they were doing it with FBI, Secret Service, DHS. They predicted imposition of martial law in the United States after the 2020 election, and all of their scenarios, which involve cyber attacks and hacking and all this stuff, right? And deep fakes, among other things, right? So it's almost like they're telling you that something that's going to happen. What's worth pointing out, though, is that back when the coronavirus crisis was really starting to explode, back in March, I don't know if people remember, but there was all this concern about what happens if a majority of members of Congress test positive and have to leave, and what happens if the president and the vice president and the speaker of the House all test positive and they have to go, right? So the response to this was to activate this task force in DC that's part of NORTHCOM, part of the military's NORTHCOM, or Northern Command, which is about the Americas, or North America, right? And they activated protocols. This was reported in Newsweek, right? This is not something I'm making up. They reported on the activation of what they called continuity of government protocols. Continuity of government is a program that's existed since after World War II, but it was really, it basically became a parallel government under Reagan, it involved people like Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, who weren't even in government at the time, okay? They basically set up, this was reported in the Miami Herald in the 80s, right? A parallel government that was allegedly responsible for Iran-Contra and all this stuff going on in the 1980s under the guise of this continuity of government program, which justified itself as, if the president gets taken out or there's some sort of threat to the US government as a whole, these are the protocols and policies we will follow to ensure that the system, the establishment, stays in place, okay? So basically a lot of that has to do with martial law and also the rounding up of dissidents that was created in this database called Main Core that I've written about a couple of times, but it was created by Oliver North, who's now like an NRA guy, but he used to be the main guy for Iran-Contra, and deeply tied to this whole thing, this continuity of government protocol back in the 1980s. And they were putting Americans on this list right, for doing things like not paying your taxes or going to a protest and all of that stuff. So their ability to, after 9/11, people saw Main Corps being on White House computers and all this stuff because Dick Cheney basically like made all these changes where he had like more control than Bush did. You know, I don't really want to go too deep into this, but basically, as of 2008, there were supposed to be like 8 million Americans on this database. And basically, it's a protocol for martial law in the United States and rounding up people that may be a threat, deemed a threat to the U.S. government in a continuity of government situation. So basically, all of that was activated in March, and we haven't heard about it since. It's still there. It was activated under the guise of the coronavirus crisis. So that task force is ready to, you know, spring into action were something to happen. And it seems like the situation that they're constructing for the 2020 election will allow them to justify, you know, implementing those protocols.
Man, this is like, I mean, it's shocking on the one hand, but of course not, because this is what they've been doing. I mean, this is
right.
Well, for this.
Well, here's the thing, right? So like a lot of policies, these people want the oligarchs, the establishment, whatever, they want to implement. A lot of it they've been doing under the guise of the coronavirus pandemic, but they can only use that as an excuse for so long. At some point, you know, the more they try and implement a lot of these surveillance technologies or AI technologies, they'll pass a point where they'll meet a lot of resistance from Americans, right? And Americans will stop believing it's necessary to fight the pandemic and all this stuff. So what do you do then? Well, it seems like they're setting something up so they don't have to deal with that resistance, or it's easier for them to, you know, not have the pesky Constitution in the way when people are saying, hey, I have rights. Well, they'll be like, well, you know, now it's martial law. So you actually don't, right? Because in those situations, continuity of government situations, all those rights are suspended, right? So, you know, the government in the United States right now is lawless, right? They don't care about the Constitution or your rights or anything else. They claim to, and because of the court system, even though it's totally fucked up to an extent, sometimes it works. So they can't totally step all over you, but it seems like something is being set up whereby it will be easier for them to not have to deal with, you know, resistance to these policies they're trying to implement.
I mean, yeah. And the thing I wonder is like all that money spent by the NRA to make sure everybody's, you know, can get a gun or whatever. Now, I mean, like there's been 3 million gun sales since the quarantine, since the pandemic started, right?
Right.
And then the protests and the rioting and the looting and stuff have made more people like go get people on the left, people, whatever. So I'm just curious, when they really start clamping down with this martial law, how are people going to react? Like when they're just...
We honestly don't know. And I don't want to get too speculative. What I'd rather focus on is that our best chance is informing as many people as possible that there is an effort to engineer this conflict and this chaos. And it's coming from the criminals that have been behind everything, right? At the highest levels of government. It's those guys. It's a small group of people. You know, they want bloodshed on American streets. They want, you know, us at each other's throats, because then they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, it's already starting. I mean, that 17-year-old kid in Kenosha, Wisconsin, that happens. And then somebody just openly killed a Trump supporter and in I think Oregon or Washington or something. And it's just like, oh, they've really been ramping up for this, man. They've really been.
And let's keep in mind too, that these types of conflicts we're talking about that they're trying to engineer here, these same people have done this in other countries around the world at the behest of the U.S. State Department or U.S. aid or the U.S. government in general when it served foreign policy goals. Now they are turning all of that, you know, back on the U.S., which, you know, I would argue it was always intended to be like that, right? And DHS too, right? You know, I mean, that's, you know, a lot of the tactics that are for the military to use abroad, right? DHS is using those here at home. And now there's this push to get the left to support federalizing police, which is just going to make all police, you know, DHS guys, basically. Because, you know, local law enforcement, right, it's localized. A lot of local police departments are super corrupt and awful. But what happens when, you try and complain to that police department? Okay, but you want to complain to the federal one, right? It's only one organization, right? It's more dangerous. Like the potential for abuse, I would argue, is much higher. You take a country like Chile, for example. Under Pinochet, they also federalized the police, right? And so you want to complain about police brutality in one locality, well, you have to go to the capital, right? And go through all that bureaucracy and bullshit, and nothing ever happens. And the police brutality issue in Chile has been the subject of protests for years.
Yeah, and Pinochet, I mean, it happened quick. All of a sudden, you might be probably more well-versed on this than I am, but my general understanding is when he really started clamping down on the authoritarian, all of a sudden within 2 months, he had...
the caravan of death, it was called, was part of it. Yeah, and then they rounded up a bunch of people in Santiago, put them in the soccer stadium and murdered them. And he, remember, was put in power by the CIA and Henry Kissinger, right? And, the CIA trained him in all of his goons and his secret police, right? Our government are the people that created this shit all over the world. And now they're going to try and use it on us. So that's why it's very important to study their tactics and inform people. Why? Because honestly, since we know that this chaos is coming, this is a period of relative calm, I guess you could say, we have for another month or two. I mean, it is imperative that, especially now that it's becoming so obvious, even in the mainstream, there's going to be some crisis on election day. We really need to try and reach people as much as possible. Because once it starts playing out, just like they predicted it and they're telling you, and people have sort of been inoculated with the idea that it's going to play out like that, and it starts to play out like that, they won't be as easily sheep herded and distracted, and they'll actually maybe focus on the people that are actually doing this shit,
Yeah, it's good. It's good for people to be aware of this. So, these are the exact tactics, beat for beat, that they use to destabilize other countries. Armed militias and guerrillas, that's what we would call, if we were watching this unfold in another country, you'd say, oh, those are fascist cops, and then these militias are just, oh, those are armed guerrillas. That's what you would call them. You'd call them armed guerrillas, just like, and so it's really important that people, I'm glad that you're pointing this out for people to get aware. So where can people read this specific article, Whitney, so they can get more informed and share this with people? If you're out there watching this, share this video and share Whitney's article on all your social media platforms.
Well, if you can get into my website, we'll fix it soon. It's unlimitedhangout.com. That's where all of my stuff is right now. But the articles that we've talked about today, they're both up on my Rockfin channel, so you can find them there as well. But if you are able to get to the Unlimited Hangout homepage, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a mailing list. So if what happened with my Ashton Kutcher article, it gets provokes this huge attack and the article gets scrubbed from the WordPress database, we can send you the article itself through email, right? So please sign up for that. If you are a member of my Patreon, because all my patrons are so amazing, you are already on my mailing list. So don't have to worry about that then. But for anyone else that's interested and can't support, or, for whatever reason, you can still sign up to the mailing list and get articles, even if, the censorship hammer keeps trying to hit the things I write.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out to all of our viewers out there, this is why I'm a big proponent. I have a Patreon page, which I love Patreon. It's great. But one of the reasons I really love Rockfin is for $10 a month, you get Whitney's premium content, my premium content, anybody else you follow, Ron Placone, Convo Couch, Nico House, Jimmy Dore. They're all on this platform, and it's blockchain and it's crypto. So the CIA can't buy it up like they did Google or whatever and turn it into just an arm of the deep state. And then go to Unlimited Hangout and follow Whitney on Twitter, which is it's Whitney_Webb.
Oh, it's _ Whitney Webb. Yeah.
_ Whitney Webb. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm still on Twitter, they'll probably be deplatforming a lot of people between now and the election. They already said they would. Twitter met with intelligence agencies last year. So did Facebook and Google of YouTube about how to protect public discourse during the election. So Make sure to sign up on these other channels that aren't controlled by Silicon Valley or the CIA. Well, honestly, the line between the CIA and Silicon Valley is basically non-existent at this point, because most of those companies contract for the CIA or received NQTEL funding. So they're all basically the same shit.
Yeah, they're not
So,
even like loose ties. It's like, oh, they're just the CIA
they're the
office.
same. Right.
Right. Well, Whitney, thank you so much for taking time today. And again, man,
Absolutely.
you shed such amazing light on these things, and you bring such an amazing. We have almost 900 people watching us live.
Oh, wow, cool.
Which is really, really awesome. So I love the work you do. Support what Whitney's doing, and stay safe out there.
Right. Thank you. And I really want to ask people to please go and read the articles. All of the sources for everything I say are in there as links. Please follow the links and read them. I source everything. That way you can, if someone thinks, oh, well, she's a conspiracy theorist and they don't want to read my stuff, you can show them the source links that are mostly from establishment stuff or official sources, right? And lay it out to people yourself.
That's why I love having you on the show. You go deep, man, and you got everything locked in. You got everything backed up. You got research and tagged on everything, and that's
Thanks.
why you do fantastic work, Whitney. So, really appreciate you taking time. And I know you got kids to deal with, so we'll let you go.
Oh, my kid just popped in. Wait, that's you. That's right. All right. Bye. Thank you.
All right, folks, I'll be right. Give me a quick sec. Well, that was awesome, everybody. That was just, man, Whitney, jeez. She just comes on the show every time. It just blows my mind with all of her intense research, and she just connects the dots. I mean, what do I say on this show? Follow the money and connect the dots. And she just does that like times 100, man. So impressive. So impressive. Ah, God. So 825 people watching. This is really, really cool, everybody. And really cool, everybody. So let's go back and get some of the super chats. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Here we go. 485 likes. Let's get the likes up, man. We got 700. We had over 800 people watching. Let's get the likes up to let's get the likes up, everybody. And we're also streaming on Rockfin. Graham, there's an Alaskan activist on the Twitter DM. He was one of the people who got Jesse on the ballot. Oh, cool. I'll interview that guy. Shout out to the Rockfin peeps. I'm simulcasting. First ever simulcast on YouTube and Rockfin. What's up? All right, so we've got a couple of I'm going to do the super chats that just came in now, and then I'll go back to the older ones. So don't be like, Graham, you missed it. I just want to, because I like doing this, putting on the screen like this. Miss Hendricks, what's up? Shave your knuckles for justice. Another great Whitney interview. Love your Galaxy jersey. Yeah, I love the MLS. Going to sports is such a fun thing. Such a fun thing. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button. 497 likes. Let's get that like button. Let's get the like up at least 700, man. We had almost 800 people watching. So hit the like button. It really helps out the show. It really helps. It's a great free way to help the show out. And also anybody who is just watching who maybe didn't see all of it. So what I will do, I will cut up the Whitney interview into two segments. One will be about the Ashton Kutcher NGO, and one will be about this simulation that's going to ramp us into election chaos. I'll break those. Will be dropped tomorrow as two separate clips. And then when the live stream ends tonight, usually about a half hour to an hour after the live stream ends, I will put the whole live stream, the video on Patreon at the $10 level, and the audio on Patreon at $5 level, and also the audio on Rockfin as well. Just because Rockfin right now doesn't have the storage space to put a whole 2-hour live stream. It's just too big of a file. It's not that I'm trying to like exclude Rockfin people. It's just, it is right now. But now that I'm simulcasting, I will make what I will do right now. It's simulcasting on Rockfin for free. So then I will take it and make it a premium. So if you missed it on Rockfin, if you're a Rockfin premium member, you will then also get to go back and watch the whole unedited live stream from beginning to end on Rockfin Premium. Boom! That's how we're doing it. Thank you, Kate, our moderator. Show Kate some love. GDNPB. What's up, brother? Shave your knuckles for justice. Or sister. I don't know who you are. Thanks for getting Whitney on. Her site is great. All the articles she has posted there. Yeah. You want in-depth, like she's a journalist. She's not some surfer comedian that, you know. I love what I do, and I'm very happy and proud of the show, but she's a journalist, man. She's like on it. Like her research is like, she's on the case, man. So I love having Whitney on the show. She is fantastic. All right, so let's go a couple more here. Sparky, what's up? Shave your knuckles for justice. Cynthia McKinney is from my home state of Georgia. Oh, all right. Hit the like button, folks. Shep Boyard G, super sticker. Thank you. You're Shave your knuckles for justice. Sparky, Ventura McKinney, 2020. That's what happened in Alaska. The Alaskan Green Party. I've done videos on this, but I'll just repeat it real quick. The Alaskan Green Party broke with the Green National Party. The National Party said, oh, Howie Hawkins is the nominee. The Alaskan Green Party said, no, we want Jesse Ventura and we want Cynthia McKinney. So if you live in the state of Alaska, vote for them. How awesome would it be if they won the state of Alaska? How awesome would that be? That would be pretty rad. All right, let's go back to Dimitri OG, Shave your knuckles for justice. You are great. Sparky, Shave your knuckles for justice. George Floyd protests were preordained by NGOs. Interesting. Nefertibbles 99, Shave your knuckles for justice. 570 likes, folks. Let's get those likes up there. We need to get them up there to 600 or 700. Come on, we had almost 900 people watching at the height of the thing. Thanks for shining a light on behalf of the kids we will never know. Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's gnarly, and it's why I keep talking about the Epstein stuff, and same with Whitney. I mean, her and I just had a personal conversation a couple months ago. I think right after she did the interview with Maria Farmer, and she was just like, I refuse to accept that these people can get away with this. So she's just going to keep doing it, you know, and I feel the same way. So thank you for supporting. And the fact that you folks support the show, when you guys hit the super chat button, you support the show, you allow me to keep doing this. You allow me to do my own videos, and you allow me to have people like Whitney Webb on the show. So if you guys don't support what I do, I can't do it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sparky, robber barons use NGOs for everything. Yep. Sparky again, making Gotham great again. The only non-NGO protests are the yellow vests. I know. They couldn't control that, which is why the corporate media in America never talked about the yellow vests, rarely talked about it. It was huge coverage, never really talked about it. Shaving knuckles for justice, Sparky. Graham, protect Whitney. She may know too much. Boom. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button. Why is the NBA playing again? I've talked about this. It's just bummed. It's like when they first shut everything down 2 weeks ago, I was like, this is it. This will get people. This will really wake people up. The NBA said no. The WNBA said no. Like the Milwaukee Brewers said no. They all, and I was like, this shut every pro sports league down. And what happened? Because I follow sports, obviously. I was watching ESPN, and all of a sudden, all the ESPN discussions were about George Floyd, Jacob Blake, police brutality. You had Doc Rivers give them very impassioned speech. You had, I think it was Brian Dawkins, who's an former NFL player. I think he's in charge of the players union or something. He called in to this show with Keyshawn Johnson, I think, his show. And he's like in tears crying about how painful this is. You got all these players speaking up. And I was like, shut it down. And then Obama calls and says, go back, play on the floor. That's not going to get you. You shut your leagues down. Because here's the thing. I wish I could talk to these players. I wish I knew them and say, look, you guys work for billionaires. Every professional sports team in all of the big leagues is owned by billionaires. All of them, at least, or it's a collection of a bunch of millionaires, but it's usually like one billionaire owns a team. You want to get those billionaires to wake up? And the billionaires are hoping all they got to do is put Black Lives Matter on the court and let the players say what they want to say and let them take a knee and all that stuff, but basically still keep going back to business. We need the ad revenue. We need the TV revenue. That's what they're hoping for. And when the leagues they were blindsided. The Milwaukee Bucks said no, and then everybody in the NBA said no, and then the WNBA said no. They all had games that night. I think it was a Wednesday night. Nope, we're done. We're not doing it. Then a bunch of Major League Baseball teams did it. Major League Soccer did it. And what if they were still on strike now and they forced these billionaires? You have to come at from a financial standpoint. It's the only thing power understands. And you got to be unpredictable. You got to be unpredictable, man. Because as we talked about with Whitney Webb, she just said, like, they are trying. They've planned this out. So you got to be unpredictable. You got to do something they can't predict. I mean, it's a thing I've talked about, how, like, I use the Washington Redskins as an example a lot. Everybody pressured FedEx. FedEx spends, they have some kind of huge $500 million licensing deal or something because they play in FedEx Stadium, the Washington Redskins, right? And the owner, Bruce Snyder, who's an asshole apparently and a creep and all this, it's a whole other thing, but he said for years, I'm not changing the name of the Washington Redskins. All these Native American groups have come forward. It's racist. It's a racist name. It's awful. It's offensive. I did a joke in my act 2 years ago that was on that show, the stand-up comedy show that I directed, First Nations Comedy Experience. It's available on Amazon Prime. Jimmy Dore's on it. A bunch of Larry Omaha, a bunch of very funny comedians are on it. He said, I'm never changing the name. A bunch of people then, right after all the George Floyd protests, all these people said, we're done. They're tearing down Christopher Columbus statues, which I'm in favor of. Columbus was a genocidal maniac and like one of the original Epsteins. He's a fucking horrific person. We should not be worshiping that guy at all. And all these people are like, hey, we're done with the Washington Redskins logo. And they pressured FedEx. We're going to boycott FedEx. So FedEx said, oh, hey, you better change your name or we're pulling our money. And like that, they changed their name. So I don't think these pro athletes realize the power they have. You shut down multi-billion-dollar sports leagues and their multi-billion-dollar TV contracts and all these companies, Gatorade, Nike, Adidas, all of them. You shut them, you tell them, you better get on the right side of this or we're walking. Then all of a sudden, then there's pressure on these local city councilors. There's pressure to these local DAs. You better prosecute these guys. They better get jail time in Kenosha. They better get jail time in Minneapolis. You better do something about this. They could have done that They go back to playing, and now what are we talking about on ESPN and all the sports channels? We're back to X's and O's and who's going to win the ball game. And all right, you had this opportunity, man. And Obama came in and did what Obama does. Placate the left, keep the left quiet, codify them, sheep herd them. Remember, there was a real powerful anti-war movement in 02, 03, 04, 05, during the Bush years. The war in Iraq was illegal. I remember like 1 million people, they spelled out on the beach in LA, all over the world. Then Obama comes in, go back to sleep, go back to playing basketball, and everybody listened. Sandra Mayer, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. I'll be subscribing to Rockfin right after the show. Thanks for another great Whitney Webb interview. Don't let Shimshay watch it. His head might explode. Okay. Okay. Keep hearing someone. It's just dudes like cleaning outside or whatever. Thank you so much. I really appreciate supporting the show, everybody. 592 likes. Let's get 619 likes. Let's get the likes up there. There we go. Sparky, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Owners are behind and control league protests. Yeah, I know. General Scribe fizzled a bit too. We need better organizing and revolutionary leadership. Yep, I know. Sports ball is finished. People are seeing it for the distraction it really is. Yeah, I know. Graham, how old were you when you felt the web coming off your eye, so to speak, regarding this deep state stuff? That's a great question. I have always been suspicious of the government and everything like that. So it's been sort of a slow process because, I mean, like, look, my first known memory of American politics was like I was a little kid watching Nixon resign. And I was like, Daddy, what's Nixon? They're like, And then as I got older, I found out what really the Vietnam War was about. And then I was like, started researching the Kennedy assassination. And I was like, we didn't call it deep state back then. We just call it whatever, the Illuminati, the Trilateral Commission, all this stuff. I was always very kind of skeptical and a little conspiratorial. And I was like, I don't trust this. And I remember when I first was freshman in college and I was 18, I was registering to vote and I wanted to register as an independent because I'm like, I don't like these two parties. And I was in college at the University of Arizona and they made you pick a party to vote in the primaries. And I was like, I don't want to pick a party. And I was like, ugh. And then I just kept, all right, I voted for Jerry Brown in the 92. I voted for Dukakis in 88. He got crushed. And you look back now and you see, they probably conspired to crush him. Just kind of, and really the final straw was 2016. I mean, I've always been, I always been trusted. I voted for Clinton in 92. I voted third party in 96. I kind of thought maybe Obama's going to be like FDR, and I voted for him in 2008 and 2012. I was just like, oh God, and I saw the scan. I went overseas and saw the economic impact of war and what it does. And there weren't jobs and traveling around this country. I just slowly saw it. And then when I lost my home, I was like, man, when I had my home stolen from me by the banks, and then it started to come out what really happened. Holy shit, did that change my tune? Holy shit. And Dave Dane's book, Chain of Title, I was like, what? That's when I was like, I'm done with Obama. And then I saw what happened in the 2016 primary and the Podesta emails. And I was like, what? And what happened to Chelsea Manning? And I was like, that's it. That's it. 2016, I was like, that's it. And Jimmy talked me into doing this show. And I was like, and then once I started doing this show and I really started digging deep and started going to sites like The Intercept, which has become more neoliberal now, but like, and reading people like Glenn Greenwald and getting exposed to Chris Hedges and reading Noam Chomsky. And I was like, and finding out about Abby Martin and the Empire Files and really digging that, I was like, I'm in. I'm all in on what's really happening. So I hope that answered your question, my friend. Great question. Great question. Sparky, shave your knuckles for justice. Pro athletes do as they're told by their owners. Ultimately, and they're easily, this is the problem with the modern pro athlete. They've got so much to lose because they've got a $5 million shoe contract and they got $1 million deal with Gatorade on top of their $10-20 million salary or whatever it is. So they got all this money. They're not a ball player. They're like a corporate entity now. And I was really proud of them. And then when they all just went back to playing, I was like, you blew it. You blew it. Owners even co-opted Kaepernick's kneeling. Of course. The same owners that shunned him, that banned him from the league, that he has a right to sue because they took away his ability to make up a living because they didn't like his politics. Oh, God. It's so disappointing. There's all these opportunities for like real change and real protest and real shutdowns. And then it's always like half. And then, well, that's America's problem. It's not really willing to get dirty, but it's going to be forced to, as Whitney Webb told us. Hit the like button, everybody. 651 likes. Let's get it up to 700. Come on. David, shave your knuckles for justice, David. Obama is a traitor to his class, race. Columbus and George Washington were slave owners and Indian hunters. It's a shame to see their statues standing. Yeah, I know. As it was Cornel West who just said Obama was only the first black leader of the American empire. Obama himself said on numerous occasions, I'm more like a Republican. My policies are more like a Republican. He was proud of that fact. The right wing uses the Second Amendment and family values in the Bible to get red state voters to vote against their own interests, and blue state voters are suckered into voting against their own interests with identity politics. This is nuts. Yeah. Nixon was an angel compared to Reagan, both Bushes, Clinton, Obama, and Trump. I know. He'd be like a crazy lefty. Oh, he's a Marxist. This is what they'd call Nixon today. Dan L. Values. Hello, Dan. Is Superhuman Whitney Webb single? No. She's got a family. Jim Churi, shave your knuckles for justice. Read the World Socialist website's article on the Movement for a People's Party online convention. It's not a supportive article, but it is definitely an important read. Oh, okay. I like the World Socialist website, and I'm curious to hear what they have to say. I'm open. Look, here's the thing. Like, if there's an honest criticism from a site, from a source like that, and again, I haven't read the article, I'm open to hearing a legitimate criticism. If it's the smears that we get from the corporate media, that's preposterous. But if it's a legitimate criticism, like, oh, the People's Party, I like what Nick Brana does, and I appreciate that party, and I really liked being a part of that convention. There's a legitimate criticism of, like, why didn't he speak up sooner when he was working with the Bernie people or whatever? That's a legitimate thing to ask. So yeah, I'll read it. Look, I've done dozens of articles on this show from World Socialist website. So thank you, Morning Saint. Hold on. There's a couple we. Sparky. Shave the knuckles for justice. Cop Malas. Hillary Rodham Clinton's girl. Rice was Obama's. HRC won. I know. I'm watching your love stream from my solar-powered tiny home. Awesome. You have a solar-powered tiny home? Red. I love that. Right there. Tiny homes. We could end homelessness. Right like that. Today. All these hotels that have been shut down. We could... Yeah. Yes, Whitney Webb was already on the first hour. So if you're a Rockfin subscriber or Patreon, you can go back and watch it, the whole interview with her. And then tomorrow I will be dropping her interview as two different segments. The first part we talked about this creepy NGO that Ashton Kutcher's a part of. And then the second part we talked about this basically simulation that is ramping us up for... They want a constitutional crisis to happen with the election to cause chaos in the Civil War as a justification for martial law. Melissa H. What's up, Melissa? Thank you for supporting the show. Shave your knuckles for justice. See the train bridge burn in Washington and wildfire, a small town, 80% destroyed. How long before a city is lost to these climate fuel fires? No, it's heartbreaking. I mean, there's 2 million acres have already been burned in the state of California. And, you know, I talked about it yesterday on Nay's Garden. I mean, 2 years ago, the city of Santa Rosa, which is like in Northern California, got what? I mean, it just came through and hit a bunch of houses and burned them up. Like, what? I know what's going to happen. I mean, does Sacramento need to go burn to the ground? And that's when we'll do, oh, maybe it's time to do, like, I don't know, Los Angeles, like, are these cities? I mean, if Reno just goes up in smoke, like what's going to happen? I mean, Spokane, like, when are people going to wake up? I don't know. We got to deal with the climate crisis. We're in climate collapse. I've been doing this show for 3.5 years. And this is now the 4th fall where I've gone, oh, California just broke the record for worst wildfire year. Every year I've said that, and every year it gets worse. Kyle Taylor, what's up? Shave your knuckles with justice. Graham, will you come on my podcast? What's your podcast, brother? I'm open to that. It depends on what we're going to talk about and the schedule and stuff like that. I get asked to be on a lot of different shows, and I can't say yes to all of them just because of time, but I'm open to it. 672 likes, folks. Let's get to 700 likes. Let's get to 700 likes. But thanks for supporting the show. Capitalism and the capitalist class are right out in the open. The only mystery is why so many people still think there is a place for themselves in a capitalist society. I don't. You are right. Hello, Harriet. Hello, Lawrence. That's funny. I wanted it to. Richard Nixon proposed the establishment of the EPA. Yeah, I know. He opened up peace with China. He took us off the gold standard, which completely screwed us up financially. But again, he's like to the left. Richard Nixon is to the left of like Trump and Biden. What world are we living in? Oh, God. God, how insane is that? Nixon, the lefty. Make sure I have it. Anthony, shaving knuckles for justice. Did you see a Coke booger fly out of Trump's nose yesterday? No, I didn't. Like one of these days, his nose is just going to start bleeding during an interview because he's all coked. Like eventually, right? Nixon did kill thorium. Yeah, again, I'm joking when I say Nixon's a big lefty. I'm just showing how far right we've gone is to show Nixon, who was a completely right-wing Republican, that he's actually to the left of these psychos we've got now. Yeah, Nixon, he crushed the thorium nuclear reactor we talked about on the show, and I believe Rick Shepard on the show several months ago, and how thorium nuclear energy I've since discovered is actually safe and it's fine, but they crushed it because they wanted to use the one that's better for weapons. The one that's awful. Biden said we need to arrest Breonna Taylor. Not kidding. God. Graham, did you see the female surfer in Spain arrested surfing, men in hazmat suits on the beach? No, God, that's crazy. Trump snorts Adderall, not Coke. All right. Good to know. Yeah, Nixon formed the EPA. 687 likes. Let's get it up to 700, ladies and gentlemen. Another couple segments I want to do here. Lorna Paisley, what's up? Shaving Knuckles for Justice. I appreciate the big donation, folks. I know there's a lot of people out there, money's tight, so when you do a big donation, you're helping pay for people who can't. And I always say this, there's a lot of great free ways to support the show. First of all, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed to this show, please hit it right now. Hit the bell notification button. I go live 5 days a week. 4 days on YouTube, and now I'm simulcasting 4 days a week on YouTube and Rockfin. And then Monday nights, I do a Rockfin members, premium members live stream, sharing these videos on your social media, watching the ads on YouTube all the way through. When you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Listening to my Pandora channel is a free way to support what I do. Following me on Twitter at Graham Elwood and Instagram, mainly Twitter, though. That's the one that I talk politics on. And, there's patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Great ways to support the show. So thank you for that. Thank you for all you do and make the world better. Thank you, Lorna. I'm really trying. And when you support my show, you help make, because then you guys supporting the show, I can do all this cool stuff. Sparky. Boom. HRC and Obama clicks, two sides of the same neoliberal coin. All right. Of course. It's just like people think the Democratic Party is some sort of like liberal utopia. It's just a corporate war machine that bombs people and blocks Medicare for all and ruins the environment, but it's got a rainbow flag. So we all love it. It's just nuts. Kate's our moderator. Kate, thank you so much. I think I owe you a phone call, Kate. Did you talk about Buttar, and do you have any thoughts what want Pelosi out so badly? I haven't talked about Shahid Buttar in a while, but I hope he wins. He came to Ron and I. The last ever Progressive Comedy Tour show before the shutdown was February 29th at Neck of the Woods in San Francisco. He was at the show. We even had him speak briefly at the top of the show, which is so cool. And I hope he wins. I hope he beats Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I really do. And if he does win, then my first question is going to be, are you going to fold to the Democratic establishment? But just getting Nancy Pelosi out of there would be fantastic. So I support what he does. I support his platforms. I would just love to see Nancy Pelosi get defeated. It'd be so great. So, but they've already tried to smear him, and they're going to keep trying. If he gets close to winning, they're going to really go after him hard, Yeah, if anyone is in Shahid Buttar's district, make sure you're registered to vote and vote for that guy. Yeah. Pelosi is such a coward. If she's as great as she thinks she is, she'd debate Buttar. You're right, Melissa H. Look up COVID-19, The Great Reset, a book written by Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum, and you'll know why we call it the pandemic. Yep. Yeah, also, if you go to grahamelwood.com, I have a PayPal button, which is a great way to support the show. You can do a one-time donation. I'm also on Venmo at Graham-Elwood, if you prefer that. It's a great way to just give one-time donations. It's really cool. I'm revamping my store, so there's no products for sale yet. But I'm redoing that. So, end the war on drugs and start the war on pedophiles. Sean Atwood quote. Awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to reach out to Sean Atwood to have him come on the show because I love his work. Toothy Biden and the oil. Toothy Biden, the oil and warmonger would make a good spot for Granny Petrol's cold paste. Absolutely. Remember, boom. Establishment counts the votes. Yeah, I know. Love to get Sean on. He's got a big following, and I've tried to reach out to him. I don't know that he's aware of what I'm doing yet, but we'll get him on the show. 707 likes. We did it. We got over 700 likes. I love it. I love it. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we're going to do an update that I got from So the sound's good. There's not, you guys don't hear like a blowing or a hissing or anything like that? Because I got the air on. Nope. Sounds good. All good. Excellent. Good. I can keep the air on because it's hot. It's hot. Anthony, shave your knuckles for justice. My rep, Brenda Lawrence, is so weird. Like she supports Medicare for all, but not defund the Pentagon, abolish DHS Patriot Act. Weird. Have a great evening, and please research UN Agenda 21 and the UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development, also geoengineering. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Spark A, shaving knuckles for justice. Nixon effectively pulled out of Vietnam. I know. This, God. Crazy. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. So we just finished day 2 of the Julian Assange trial in London, and we're following Tarek Haddad, who we're going to have on the show at the end of the week because he's been covering the case every day. We talked to him back in February, the last time they did this. So I've just been going to his website, tarekhaddad.com, a website I highly suggest you follow, so we can see this is what his update is from day 2 of the trial. We talked about yesterday, day one, the U.S. State Department introduced a bunch of new charges. The judge, of course, sided with the State Department. The defense attorneys for Julian Assange were like, wait a minute, we need time to prepare. We need to push this court date back. Judge said, no, you got to get ready now. They've had limited contact with their client, which is not right. So this is what was said today. WikiLeaks fundamental in documenting war crimes and human rights violation. The court hears that today. Clive Stafford Smith, there he is pictured right there, testified at Julian Assange's U.S. extradition proceedings at the Old Bailey in London on September 8th. A world-renowned human rights lawyer, that's Clive Stafford Smith, has outlined the role WikiLeaks has played in bringing forth evidence that highlighted war crimes and human rights violations. Clifford Stafford Smith told the Old Bailey in London that the numerous files and cables published by WikiLeaks were fundamental in documenting assassinations, torture, and secret renditions. All things like, but people that like have pride in America and what the American ideals stand for. This is what America is supposed to stand for. Freedom, no taxation without representation, a democracy, innocent till proven guilty, all these things, a military that only responds when we need to. And we're this evil empire. We're all of the things that we said America was against, we are doing. So if you're one of these flag waving people, you need to really wake up. And you should be on the side of this. Among the revelations discussed in Tuesday's proceedings, September 8th, Stafford Smith outlined how the WikiLeaks disclosure of documents relating to Afghanistan were key to the International Criminal Court's decision to open up an investigation. That's what publishers do. They get leaked documents, they publish them, and it opens up investigations because the people in power, military, governments, there needs to be checks and balances. That's how this democracy was set up. Checks and balances. That's why we have 3 branches of government, right? The executive branch, right? The congressional, the representative branch, and the judicial branch. They're all checks. No one should have too much power. Well, our military gets to do whatever they want, and the intelligence community, which is the permanent state, because they're all these unelected people, they get to do whatever they want. And WikiLeaks was holding them accountable. Oh, how dare they? I say this all the time. If Julian Assange is in jail, then they should have jailed Ben Bradley, which they tried to do, and he went to court and they said no. So WikiLeaks' disclosure of documents relating to Afghanistan were key to the International Criminal Court's recent decision to open an investigation into alleged war crimes committed by U.S. forces and the CIA in the region. We always talk about all these horrific war crimes that happen in all these other third world countries, and look at how awful the Taliban's done awful stuff. ISIS has done awful stuff. Well, how are we better if we're committing war crimes and then we're not even holding people accountable? It's the same thing. I talk about this all the time. The Black Lives Matter defund the police movement, it's very similar. The police have no civilian oversight. They get all this extra money that should be spent for homelessness and education and all this other stuff. It's the same thing on the foreign policy side. We spend all this money on military. We don't go to Afghanistan and build roads and schools and hospitals, and we just bomb the shit out of them and then commit war crimes. An investigation that has recently been center of a growing controversy after the U.S. issued sanctions against high-level ICC prosecutors as a means of punitive retribution. Stafford Smith, the founder of Reprieve, a British-based charity aimed at securing habeas corpus rights for Guantanamo Bay prisoners, also detailed how the WikiLeaks publications greatly helped the work of his organization. Again, this completely undermines the ridiculous claims by the United States that their claim is to distract everybody from what was leaked by Chelsea Manning and given to WikiLeaks that showed the crimes of the United States military, war crimes of the U.S. and the CIA. So now they're trying to, their whole claim is, oh, it's national security. And oh, he helped Chelsea Manning hack the computers. So it's treason. So now we're all talking about treason. We're distracted from the fact that no, these war crimes were committed by the United States, and the United States need to be held accountable. It's the same. You see the same tactic? Oh, Jacob Blake had a criminal record. What? So that means it was okay for him to get shot in the back? Oh, Julian Assange has ties to Russia. So now we're not talking about the crimes that happened. Same thing. We're talking about Jacob Blake's criminal record. We're not talking about the clear abuse of power by the Kenosha police. And that cop is on paid administrative leave in Kenosha and should be in prison for murder, attempted murder. You see how it's the same tactic. It's the same tactic. Well, George Floyd was, he has a criminal record, so he deserves to have a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 45 seconds while he screams for his mother and they kill him. Daniel Ellsberg, man, he committed crime. He stole that stuff from the State Department and the Pentagon. That's wrong what he did. No. He did the right thing. What's wrong is all the crimes that were committed in Vietnam. That's why the Pentagon Papers were so important. Shooting a journalist is what the collateral damage video that we've all watched. That's the crime that was committed. Our tax dollars being spent to assassinate people and kill innocent civilians, and then no one's held accountable. That's the crime. He outlined how, due to the abundance of challenges in investigating the cases of his clients, WikiLeaks helped him fill in the gaps and allowed him to secure the freedom of a number of indefinitely held prisoners. So that's the other thing. Habeas corpus gone. And thanks to Obama signing the NDAA in December of 2011, that can happen to American citizens on American soil. You can just be snatched up. No trial, no jury, no nothing. No charges, no habeas, no innocent till proven guilty. What are you being charged with? Oh, just crimes. No sentencing, no nothing. That whole legal process was there so that these abuses can't happen. Reprieve has also so far been able to secure the freedom of over 80 men illegally detained at Guantanamo Bay without charges or trial, more than any other non-governmental organization. So this is it's as pointed out by Assange's lawyers, however, the statement directly contradicts the U.S. indictment, even in its most recent iteration, where the WikiLeaks publisher is accused of multiple counts for solely obtaining and disseminating national security information. Right, they always claim security, with no mention of whether they caused harm to military personnel or informants. That's the other thing. They always say, and there's no evidence. There's been zero evidence to show that any of these leaked documents caused to the harm of any U.S. military personnel. There's none. They've proven no evidence. None. They just say it. Oh, well, it's a security. He's putting people at risk. What's your evidence? Oh, he put people at risk. Lewis' argument is further discredited by the fact that the U.S. government itself admits that there is no evidence anyone was ever harmed as a result of the documents released by WikiLeaks, a matter that was agreed in Chelsea Manning's court-martial in 2013. That's good. Let's just go back a little bit. They're talking about James Lewis, witnesses for the prosecution on behalf of the U.S. government. James Lewis claimed that the documents which Severance referred to in his testimony were not the ones Assange was being indicted for. He pointed to a statement provided by Assistant U.S. Attorney Gordon Kromberg, in which it stated, Kromberg, who is a sellout to the Constitution and is trampling on it, the only instances in which the superseding indictment charges Assange with the distribution of national security information to the public are explicitly limited to his distribution of documents classified up to the secret level containing the names of individuals in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere around the world who risked their safety and freedom by providing information to the United States and its allies. Again, the statement directly contradicts the U.S. indictment. where the WikiLeaks publisher is accused on multiple counts for solely obtaining and disseminating national security information with no mention of whether they caused harm to the personnel. And again, the U.S. government has admitted that there was no harm to U.S. personnel in the Chelsea Manning trial. They've already admitted it. The case continues, folks. And if you go to this article, you can see Clive A. Stafford Smith's statement. You can read that in full. I'll put this in the show notes. Tariq Haddad is definitely a person we want to support on this show because he's doing good work. He's there. So day 2. And so this probably at some point at the end of this week, beginning of next week, I'll have Tariq on the show and he can give us sort of an overview of what he witnessed in the courtroom over this past week. But I've already talked to him about being on the show. Sam Dean, what's up, brother? I hope you're doing well down in Australia. T-Rump bragged this morning about doing more for the environment. He's just crazy. He's just like a crazy person. Like his brain is so coked up on Adderall or whatever, tanning salons. He's just out of his mind. It's just like me sitting here going, I'm not giving you the middle finger. No, you're being lied to. I'm not giving you the middle finger. I've never given you the middle finger ever. Never done it. I've never done it. It's not happening right now. Are you crazy? Are you insulting middle fingers? Are you saying that I'm a liar? It's that kind of crazy. Then in the same breath bragged about fracking and opening 400 acres of land in Florida for hunting. How disgusting. Yeah, he's awful. And his crazy followers, like he's opened up the lands for hunting and he likes the outdoors. It's like, no, he's opened it up for fracking and drilling and you're going to get poison. Your kids are going to have poisoned water and your Trump hat's not going to save you, but good luck. Good luck since you don't like scientists. What's up, Backyard? What's up, Wendy, Melly, Norman? McMindfulness. Bernadette Feltham, what's up, Bernadette? Shave your knuckles for justice. 750 likes. Outstanding. Graham Elwood for Attorney General. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, YouTube. Hello, Rockfin. What's up? Thank you for our first ever simulcast. I'm so proud. I figured it out, the tech thing. So we are simulcasting on YouTube Live and on Rockfin. So when the live stream is over, I will pull it down and put it up for YouTube. Patreon people at the $10 level will get it. And Rockfin people who are Rockfin members, premium members, will get to watch the whole live stream. And I'll do that every day. Boom, boom, boom. Free Assange, free Leonard Peltier. Absolutely. Change your senators. That's more important than the president. You only have 2 senators, so pay attention to what they do and who they are. Absolutely. Super chatters are superstars. Thank you, Truth That's Sweet and Victory Jen. Sam Dean, what's up, brother? Shave your knuckles for justice. Breaking: the Oxford University coronavirus vaccine trial that has been halted after a potentially unexplained illness among participants. Dang it. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like Russia might be close to a vaccine, but of course, since we sanction them, they might not give it to us. Yeah. I hope they come up with something soon. But that's the thing. You can't rush science. You got to try it. You don't know if it works. You don't know how it's going to, some people might have adverse reactions. I mean, I want it. Believe me, I want it. Any kind of vaccine or a solid treatment that really minimizes the symptoms, I would love it. I want to go back on the road and do comedy live. I miss it so bad. I miss seeing all of you in person, really, but we'll be back. We'll be back on the road. Yeah, Cuba said they may have a vaccine. Yeah. I missed it again. Thanks, YouTube, for sucking. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I wish I could, hit the bell notification button, even if you've done it in the past. Make sure you're subscribed because they're literally unsubscribing people on a daily basis. I've been stuck at 71,500 subscribers for weeks. Like I should be adding 1,000 subscribers a week. I mean, every week should just be climbing up. I should be up over 100,000 subscribers. Such a pain in the ass. But we're almost at 10,000 followers on the Rockfin. That's another thing too. You can just sign up for Rockfin for free. You don't have to pay the $10 a month if you don't have the money for the premium membership, but just sign up for Rockfin. Just support that channel. It's blockchain, it's crypto, it's the future. CIA can't take it over. Only 1 of 5 vaccines available January 2021. Some already being pre-approved. Oh, okay. Post-COVID shows are going to be awesome. Yeah, when we're back on the road and everything's open and there's a vaccine or whatever, they're going to be so rad. They're going to be so great. Melissa H. Greta nominated for Nobel again. Sign the petition. Awesome. I love it. Oh, Granny Petrol's not going to like that. Granny Petrol's going to be mad. Rockfin. $768 likes. All right, folks, I'm getting hungry. I've been talking for almost 2 hours, over 2 hours. What a great interview with Whitney Webb. Isn't it great having her on the show? Isn't she just great? She's just great. Do you think the media could do better communicating by adding the word partially to phrase partially defund the police? Yeah. I just signed up for Rockfin yesterday. I'm going to go check out the stream over there now. Awesome. All right, hold on. Hello. Whew, yes, I'm back. Woo, Grammy, what's up? What's up? Let me make sure I didn't miss any of the super chats. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Naughty Vegan, what's up? Thanks for supporting the show. If we want to help Granny Petro, where should we send a tube of preparation? Oh, you know what? Those of you who don't know who I'm going to show you the original Granny Petrol video. I want you to see this. I really need you to see this. No, I want to just YouTube, not this one. Oh God, you're gonna love this.
Future.
Oh no. Oh, guess what, kids? You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Yes, Whitney is over. She was on an hour ago. We're about to wrap up the show. So if you're just tuning in, I will archive this on Rockfin. So if you go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, it'll be archived for the premium members. And also I will be it'll also be archived on Patreon, if patreon.com/Graham Elwood. So you can support me at either one of those platforms and you get the full live stream as soon as it goes down. And then I also will take her interview and chop it up into 2 different segments that'll drop tomorrow. So you can see my interview with Whitney tomorrow for free on the channel. Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/Graham Elwood. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Well, for those of you who watched the show, you've seen me do my character, Granny Petrol. And some of you are like, where did you get this character? Well, it's a real person hired by the Friends of Science, which is an organization that is funded by oil companies to push climate denial. And back in January, I came across this video and could not stop laughing at how ridiculous it is. So I want to show it to you today so you understand the history of Granny Petrol.
Greta, I saw your presentation at COP24, and it was compelling, but I respectfully dispute your statements. A child is a miracle, Greta. A child should be able to live in joy, entranced by the wonder of the world, not in fear of the future or hatred of their elders.
Hatred of their elders. So let's just stop right there. So already Greta is saying, hey, you know, the speeches Greta has given, like the world is on fire. I'm not going to have a future. Children my age aren't going to have a future. So this woman's interpretation of it is, oh, the hatred of elders. Okay. So again, this is from the Friends of Science website. And I checked, and they get funding from oil companies, mainly from Canada. So this is in Canada. Now I'm going to press the start button, and I want you to do something for me. Okay. I want you to see, wait, where is it? It's right here. No, this way. I want you to look down at the fireplace. When I press play, look at the fireplace behind her. Please watch the fireplace.
Climate is a $1.5 trillion global industry. Greta, it's all built on a faulty premise that carbon dioxide is like a control knob on climate. But science has shown that that is not true. Your ancestor, Svante Arrhenius, not only developed the hothouse theory of catastrophic global warming, he also amended his catastrophic view. In 1906, in this paper, he wrote in German, he decided that warming would be perhaps around 1.
Have you noticed anything about the fireplace? Where is it? This way? Was it? The fireplace doesn't move. She's like standing in front of a fake fireplace, or it's like a green screen or something. The fireplace doesn't move. It's not like crackling behind her. It's a fake fireplace. This is me, the filmmaker in me, what looks at the whole frame of something, and I'm like, that drives me insane. It's insane. The fireplace doesn't work. It's a picture of a fireplace. And then she starts, science has told us, and she talks about how the climate change industry is $1.5 trillion industry. She coins the term big green. Oh yeah, it gets so much better.
5 degrees Celsius and beneficial. So when people tell you that the world only has 12 years left, they're telling you science fiction, not science fact. Those scary predictions come from computer simulations that are based on a worst case scenario that is so far removed from reality. Many scientists are angry that people are being scared and fooled in this way. But climate has become a big green business. That's who's greedy and uncaring.
She said
Big
it.
Green doesn't mind if poor people become poorer from heat or eat poverty. They just want the subsidies and the carbon credits. Let them eat carbon. You said we adults have done nothing. That's not true. What amazing advances we've made in this world. People once lived lives that were solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. That was a good description of life in the Little Ice Age just maybe 150 years ago or so. Then you might have had to marry at age 15 because people were only expected to live until they were about 35.
So wait, she's saying oil, thanks to oil, Greta, you don't have to marry at age 15. Did you just hear that insanely? Like, this woman's crazy. That's why I had to do this character. I can't handle it.
You say that we're stealing our children's future. I disagree. My late mother lived to the age of 93. She was born before the radio was invented. Her father plowed the fields behind a horse, guiding a hand plow with a yoke around his neck.
What?
She lived through the Great Depression when many people lived on the verge of starvation. She and her brothers fought in World War II, and she lived to see humans land on the moon. Greta, what incredible things humans have accomplished. What a fabulous future you have. And almost all of these accomplishments were only possible thanks to the power of coal, natural gas, and oil. We cannot stop climate change, Greta, but we can be prepared for changes in climate, which, if you study history, you will know that there are many. Get off the strike line and go to school. Learn to think for yourself. Be curious so you can't be fooled, and have hope. We live in a world of wonder where science is about inquiry, not compliance. For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Sterling.
So that's so Granny Petrol is a real person. Michelle Sterling, who gets paid to stand in front of fake fireplaces and spew bullshit. So that's why I came up with that character. Oh my God. But Greta. Yeah, that's why I watched this video on. And back when we would do the show in the studio in Burbank before the shutdown, Ron was there, and Ron and I just kept going, but Greta. And I just was like, and then one of you sent me the wig, and I just had a pair of reading glasses, and some of you sent the pearls, and then I just picked this shawl, and Granny Petrol was born. Big green Greta, Greta, but Greta, you're so mad at adults. She says adults. Big green. Oh, it's the insane logic of Granny Petrol. Absolutely. It's crazy. Oh, you need to up the condensation quotient, Graham. You're right. I was glad I needed to watch that video again just to dial the character. And she's so condescending. Greta, why don't you like this? Like Friends of Science Society. Oh God. And I went on a quick web search. Friends of Science. Who gets their funding? Oil companies in Canada, you know. Oh God. The naughty vegan, you've convinced me. I'll send her a cage of preparation H. Greta. But Greta, oh my God, lobbyist goons would actually think Granny Petrol was a real person. Of course. Yes. Granny Gaslight, Greta, go to school and learn to think for yourself. Right? So that's this is the insane logic. So a 15-year-old girl that says, I'm going to fight this, like be outspoken. That's not thinking for herself. Like Granny, most 15-year-olds are just like whatever on TikTok or Snapchat, and they're just thinking about shopping and boys or whatever. They're not thinking about saving the planet. So I'm pretty sure Greta's already thinking for herself. But Greta, oh God, it's so insane. Oh, let them eat carbon, right? Didn't you like that line? Let them eat carbon. Madness, madness. Oh, it's insane. It's funny how they spin giant oil and status quo as non-compliance and free thought. Right. It's unbelievable. Granny Gaslight. Please play a little of your first Granny Petrol video. I don't know. I gotta have to find that. Yeah. Just read about not stopping it. But Greta. You might write in play the coal paste video. I'd have to go find that. Truth to tweet. We'll do that though. I'll do some more Granny Petrol videos. Sparky, shave your knuckles for justice. Thorium reactor was in Tennessee. Nixon wanted to help California, so we shut down thorium project. Home state made the difference for Nixon, not tech. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that with us, Sparky. The comparative relativism is what we learned in law school and even more in large law firms. I know this firsthand. Thanks, Granny and Graham. Oh, yes. I have a Granny. Okay. Thank you, Truth to Tweet, for reminding me about my own channel. I have a Granny Petrol playlist. So watch all my Granny Petrol videos now. You'll see what that really, if you're just new to this and you're like, well, who's Granny Petrol? Now you know who Granny Petrol is. So watch the Granny Petrol playlist. You'll see all this stuff. Oh, and there's coal paste that was sent to me too. This is fantastic. I drink oil. It's great. All right. This has been a pretty dope show today. Yeah, it was awesome. So go back and watch the archive. And all right. What do you want to sing? What do you want me to sing? Because I gotta go get something to eat. I'm hungry. The arc of Granny Petrol, right? $803 likes, man. We crossed 800 likes. What a great show. We had almost 900 people watching. It was awesome. Reef Breland, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Did you get the link to my Discord, Graham? Yes. And then I think I signed up for it, but I don't know. Like, someone told me to sign up for TikTok, and then I signed up for Discord, but I don't know what else I was supposed to do. Staying Alive is Sean Connery. Durant. Yes, Granny. Granny singing Wind Beneath My Wings. All right, I'm going to do that as Granny Petrol. We'll get a Granny. We got to do a Granny. We just did that, so we got to do Beneath My Wings. Hold on. Hold on. All right, I'm going to be right back as Granny Petrol.
Hello. Drinking a nice, delicious glass of oil. It's Granny Petrol here, coming to say hello and sing a wonderful song. Not all angry like Greta and adults. What a delight. Well, let's not get our wig in a bunch. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Granny Petrol here. Let's do a song. Oh, well. Get my shawl in order. It's Granny Petrol. Granny Petrol here to sing you a song. It's dedicated to coal and natural gas. Friends of science. I'm Granny Petrol. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to leave. And let's hope that Greta isn't so angry all the time. Go find your fake fireplace and stand in front of it and talk about friends of science. Don't let Big Green put their boot on your neck. Think for yourself. Come to your own conclusions that are financed by oil companies in Canada. Make your own decisions. Granny Petrol out.
What's up, citizens of Gotham? Let me read a couple super chats. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Sparky, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. Thorium reactor was in Tennessee. Nixon wanted to. Oh, we already read that one. Sorry. My apologies. My apologies. Read that one. Sparky, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. It's true then that Cali and other reactors also produce stuff for nuclear weapons, but Nixon didn't know the difference. Of course. Naughty Vegan, please write the song, The Granny Petrol Blues. Ron wrote a great song. Granny Petrol, here, here. He's a great song. Great song. Reef Breland, what's up, Reef? DM me on Twitter and I'll walk you through it, but it won't let me message you. Oh, okay. Sorry, bro. Yeah. I'll reach out and figure out the Discord thing. Thank you. I'm just not familiar with that platform, so. Thanks, Aileen Love, for picking that Granny Petrol song. Good business. Granny Petrol, here, 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 who. I learned the story of Granny Petrol. My life is made. That's what we're doing, folks. Changing lives, one Granny Petrol video at a time. Sam Dean, boom. What's up, Sam? Why does T-Rump play YMCA at the end of his rallies? I'm pretty sure MAGA hat wearing bigots aren't fans of the Village People. Madness. Oh, I know. Just like the Village People were gay. Do you guys know that? Like, you really hope that they make sure I didn't miss any. I want to make sure I didn't miss any. I missed Adam Gray's. Sorry, Adam. I missed your super chat. Come on. Where are you at? Oh, maybe StreamYard gobbled it up. Dude, my bad. Sorry, Adam, I can't put it on the screen, but let me Adam Gray, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Permission to plug my Granny Petrol remix with you and Ron. Yeah, sure, man. Go for it. Please do. No, Whitney was already on the show where I'm about to wrap up. Yeah, we had Whitney on earlier in the show, and that'll be archived on my patreon.com/Graham Elwood and on rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. The whole live stream will be, you can watch the whole live stream. The first hour of it is with Whitney. And then tomorrow I will release in 2 separate clips what Whitney and I talked about on my YouTube channel tomorrow. So thank you so much, everybody. Fun show today. Really great. 830 likes. Really awesome. What a great show. Yeah, Whitney was awesome on the show. Oil's great lube gives and I'm glad you got to see the history of Granny Petrol. Thank you so much, everybody. You're all making Gotham great again. Shave your knuckles for justice. Oh, tomorrow I'll be live with Jordan Sheridan. We're going to talk about the Julian Assange case and other things. Boom.